All right, strap yourselves in, because today we are taking a deep dive into Jupiter.
That's right.
Forget everything you thought you knew about this gas giant.
Yeah.
We're going way beyond. It's big and has a red spot.
Way beyond.
Our sources are packed with mind-blowing stuff about Jupiter's moons, its crazy storms, and the role it plays in shaping our whole solar system.
Jupiter's a total heavyweight in the solar system,
Oh,
literally.
good.
We'll be talking about its moons, of course.
Right.
But let's not forget that just Jupiter's gravity is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
It's like a cosmic bouncer flinging comets and asteroids around.
Whoa.
Remember Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 back in '94?
Oh, yeah.
Jupiter pulled that one right in.
That must have been incredible to see.
Oh, absolutely.
Makes you wonder what else Jupiter's pulled in over the eons, right?
Right.
But, it's not just astronomers with fancy telescopes who can get a good look at Jupiter.
No.
It's actually visible to the naked eye.
Absolutely. Jupiter is often the brightest thing in the night sky after the moon and Venus.
Really?
Yeah. And that's partly because of its size, of course,
Makes sense.
but also because those swirling cloud bands reflect a ton of sunlight.
Oh, interesting.
And the kicker is that Jupiter's distance from Earth changes quite a bit as it orbits the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So its brightness varies over time.
So if I just look up on a clear night, I might spot Jupiter.
You very well might.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And didn't you say it has a bunch of moons, too?
Oh, yeah. Jupiter has a lot of moons.
Like more than a few.
95 that we know of.
95.
Yeah. But the real showstoppers are the 4 largest ones,
Okay.
called the Galilean moons.
All right.
Even a basic telescope will reveal them. Galileo himself discovered them back in the 1600s.
Oh, wow.
Hence the name
Right.
Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, each one a world unto itself.
Okay, the Galilean moons.
Yeah,
Sounds like a VIP club out there in space.
they are.
What's the lowdown on these celebrity moons?
Well, Ganymede is the biggest of the bunch. And get this, it's actually larger than the planet Mercury.
What?
That's huge for a moon.
That's wild.
And they each have their own unique personalities, so to speak.
Oh.
Io is covered in volcanoes.
Volcanoes?
Europa is thought to have a hidden ocean beneath its icy shell.
Whoa, hold on.
And Callisto is the heavily cratered grandpa of the group.
An ocean on Europa. I need details on
We'll
that.
get there.
Okay.
But first,
Yeah.
you mentioned seeing these moons with a telescope.
Right.
Can you actually watch them move around Jupiter?
Can you?
You bet.
Really?
It's like a celestial ballet.
I like that.
With a decent telescope, you can see the Galilean moons pass in front of and behind Jupiter as they orbit.
Wow.
You can even see their shadows cast on Jupiter's cloud tops.
No way.
Early astronomers used to track these movements meticulously.
It makes me want to try that myself.
You should.
Imagine sketching those moons night after night, just like Galileo did.
I love that idea.
It'd be like connecting with history in a really hands-on way.
It's a great way to appreciate the patience and ingenuity of those early astronomers.
For sure.
And speaking of pushing the boundaries of astronomy, we have to talk about NASA's Juno mission.
Oh, yeah, Juno.
It's been orbiting Jupiter since 2016,
Wow.
and the data it's sending back is revolutionizing our understanding of this gas giant.
Okay, so we can observe Jupiter from our backyards.
Right,
But Juno is giving us an entirely different perspective.
for sure.
What's Juno uncovered about what's going on inside Jupiter?
One of the biggest surprises has been about Jupiter's core.
Oh,
We used to think it was a solid, dense ball at the center,
okay.
but Juno's data suggests it's more like a fuzzy, diluted core
Fuzzy.
spread out over a large area.
Huh.
That's a major challenge to our previous assumptions.
A fuzzy core.
Yeah,
That's not what I was picturing.
yeah.
Does that mean we got Jupiter's structure all wrong?
It's definitely shaken things up.
Okay.
And it's not just about the core.
What else?
Juno has given us unprecedented insights into Jupiter's powerful magnetic field.
Its swirling atmosphere
Right.
and even the depth of the Great Red Spot.
Speaking of the Great Red Spot,
Yeah.
that iconic storm is like Jupiter's signature feature.
Oh, absolutely.
We've all seen the pictures.
Yeah.
But what's the latest on this swirling behemoth?
Well, for starters, it's huge.
Huge. We know.
Like bigger than Earth.
Yeah.
Huge.
Wow.
And it's been raging for centuries.
Right.
At least as long as humans have been observing Jupiter through telescopes.
That's a long time.
But here's the thing.
What?
It's shrinking.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
It's shrinking.
Yeah.
Is it going to disappear altogether?
That's the big question.
Mm-hmm.
And scientists are divided.
Really?
Some believe it might eventually fade away,
Okay.
while others think it could persist for centuries to come.
So nobody really knows.
Not for sure.
Wow.
Juno's observations are crucial here
Yeah.
because they're helping us understand the dynamics of the storm and how it interacts with Jupiter's atmosphere.
So it's not just a pretty picture. No, definitely not.
The Great Red Spot is a dynamic, evolving storm,
Exactly.
and Juno's giving us a front row seat to the show.
That's right.
But what's causing it to shrink? Does anyone have any theories?
There are a few ideas floating around.
Like what?
One theory is that smaller storms are merging with the Great Red Spot,
Okay.
feeding it energy,
Mm,
but also disrupting its structure,
I see.
which might contribute to the shrinking.
Okay, so maybe it's not just shrinking.
Yeah.
It's changing, evolving.
Exactly.
But I have to admit, the idea of the Great Red Spot disappearing completely is kind of unsettling.
I know what you mean.
It's been a fixture of Jupiter for so long.
An icon.
Yeah,
But I guess that's part of what makes studying Jupiter so fascinating.
I guess so.
It's a constantly changing world full
Yeah.
of surprises and mysteries.
Well, I'm definitely hooked.
Good.
We've got a shrinking storm, a fuzzy core,
Yeah.
and a whole entourage of moons to explore.
Lots to talk about.
Where do we go from here?
Well, next up.
We've been talking about all this high-tech stuff,
Yes.
Juno, telescopes, all that.
Right.
But it makes me wonder,
What's that?
what about those early astronomers who only had their eyes to rely on?
It really does put things in perspective.
Yeah, for centuries.
Yeah,
The night sky was the only laboratory astronomers had.
that's right.
It's incredible what they were able to deduce just by observing the movements of celestial objects.
It really is.
Like Galileo figuring out Jupiter's moons.
Oh, yeah.
That must have been a mind-blowing discovery at the time.
Absolutely groundbreaking.
It makes you realize anyone can be an astronomer, even without fancy equipment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's something I encourage everyone to try.
Okay.
Next time you're outside on a clear night,
Yeah.
look up.
I'll try it.
Jupiter is often one of the brightest objects in the sky.
Hmm.
You'll see it shining steadily, unlike the twinkling stars around it.
So I just look for the brightest thing that's not blinking.
Pretty much.
Got it. And is there any chance I could spot those Galilean moons with just my eyes?
You might.
Really?
If you have good eyesight and you're away from city lights,
Okay.
you might be able to see the Galilean moons as tiny pinpricks of light near Jupiter.
Wow.
But even if you can't see them individually, just knowing they're there,
Yeah,
orbiting this giant planet millions of miles away is pretty awe-inspiring.
it definitely is.
Yeah,
It makes you feel connected to something much bigger than yourself.
absolutely.
You mentioned sketching the moons like Galileo.
Yeah,
I'm seriously thinking about giving that a try.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah,
It's a fun and engaging way to connect with the history of astronomy.
that's cool.
You'll start to understand the patterns of their movements
Uh-huh.
and maybe even feel a little bit like a 17th century astronomer yourself.
Okay, so we can see Jupiter and maybe even its moons with the naked eye.
Right.
But when we talk about studying Jupiter, we're mostly talking about its outer atmosphere, right? Those swirling clouds and storms we see in pictures.
Exactly. Jupiter is a gas giant,
Right.
so there's no solid surface to land on.
Okay.
What we see are the tops of its cloud layers,
Mm-hmm.
which are in constant motion,
Yeah.
driven by powerful winds and internal heat.
Which brings us back to the Great Red Spot.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about how it's shrinking,
Right.
but do we know why it's shrinking?
That's the million-dollar question.
I mean, what are scientists saying?
Well, it sparked a lot of debate in the scientific community.
Okay.
We still don't fully understand the mechanisms driving the Great Red Spot's behavior.
So it's like a giant swirling mystery in space.
Pretty much.
Are there any leading theories about what's going on?
One idea that's gaining traction
Yeah.
is that smaller storms might be merging with the Great Red Spot,
Okay.
feeding its energy.
I thought you said some scientists think it's gaining energy from these smaller storms.
Right.
How can it be both?
It's a complex
I
process.
guess so.
It's possible that the merging of smaller storms initially injects energy into the Great Red Spot,
Uh-huh.
but over time, it might disrupt the delicate balance of forces that maintains its size and intensity.
So it's not just a simple case of shrinking or growing.
No.
It's about the interplay of all these different forces in Jupiter's atmosphere
Exactly.
that makes it even more fascinating.
like a cosmic dance,
Ooh, I like that.
with these swirling masses of gas and energy interacting in ways we're just beginning to comprehend.
It makes you wonder what it would be like to actually be there,
Yeah,
floating among those clouds.
it would be an incredible sight.
Right.
but probably pretty terrifying, too.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Imagine being up close and personal with the Great Red Spot, feeling the immense pressure of Jupiter's atmosphere and those ferocious winds whipping around you.
I think I'll stick to admiring it from Earth, thanks.
Probably a good call.
But speaking of Jupiter's influence,
Yeah.
you mentioned its gravity acts as a sort of protector for Earth, right?
That's right. Jupiter's gravity is so strong that it can deflect or capture comets and asteroids
Okay.
that might otherwise pose a threat to the inner solar system.
So it's like our bodyguard.
Exactly. Think of it as our cosmic shield.
That's reassuring.
It is.
But wait, didn't we talk about Jupiter's gravity pulling comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 into a collision course with the planet back in '94?
You're absolutely right.
So which is it?
It's a bit of a double-edged sword.
I see.
While Jupiter's gravity can act as a shield,
Okay.
it can also redirect objects towards Earth, depending on their trajectory.
So it's like having a really strong bodyguard who sometimes accidentally throws punches in the wrong direction.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
It's a powerful force, and we're still learning about its complex effects on the solar system.
It makes Jupiter even more intriguing, don't you think?
For sure.
This massive planet with its own little solar system of moons.
Yeah.
Shaping the dynamics of everything around it.
It's a reminder that we're part of a dynamic and interconnected system, where even the most distant objects can have a profound impact on our little corner of the universe.
Well, Jupiter has definitely captured my attention.
Good.
Now, I'm dying to hear more about those Galilean moons,
Right.
especially Europa, and that tantalizing possibility of a hidden ocean.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Europa is one of the most exciting places in our solar system right now.
Really?
It's a world of ice and secrets,
Wow.
and it just might hold the key to answering one of humanity's biggest questions.
Are we alone in the universe?
Okay, now you're really speaking my language.
Buckle up.
Lead the way. Tell me everything you know about Europa. Okay, Europa,
Yeah.
icy moon, possible ocean,
Right.
maybe even aliens.
Could be.
This is where things get really interesting.
It is.
Paint me a picture.
Okay.
Why are scientists so excited about this little moon?
Imagine this.
Okay.
You've got Europa's surface, this incredibly smooth, bright, icy shell.
Okay.
But underneath that,
Yeah.
scientists believe there's a vast global ocean.
We're not talking a little subterranean lake here,
Right.
but an ocean that could be miles deep,
Miles deep.
maybe even containing more water than all of Earth's oceans combined.
More water than all of Earth's oceans.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling.
It is.
But how can they be so sure?
Yeah.
Did someone drill a hole through the ice?
I wish it were that simple.
Right.
It's all about piecing together indirect evidence.
Okay.
Scientists have analyzed images of Europa's surface, looking at cracks and ridges that suggest tidal forces from Jupiter.
Okay.
They've studied its magnetic field, which hints at a salty subsurface ocean.
So it's salt water.
That's what we think.
Wow.
And the way Europa wobbles slightly as it orbits Jupiter,
Okay.
that also points to a hidden layer of liquid.
Okay, so we've got a lot of clues suggesting an ocean.
Right.
But why all the hype? It's not like there's beach weather under all that ice.
That's where things get really exciting.
That's
Where you have water,
Yeah.
you have the potential for life, and not just any life.
what kind of life?
We're talking about the possibility of microbial life.
Okay.
Maybe even more complex organisms
Hold on.
existing in that ocean.
Are we seriously talking about aliens swimming around in Europa's ocean?
We don't have definitive proof, of course.
Right.
But it's a possibility that scientists are taking very seriously.
Really?
Think about it. This ocean could have existed for billions of years.
Yeah.
Completely isolated from the surface.
Mhm.
Life could have evolved there entirely independently from life on Earth.
A whole separate evolution.
Exactly. It's a chance to study a completely different tree of life.
Whoa, that would be incredible.
I would.
A whole alien ecosystem right here in our solar system.
Pretty amazing, right?
Tell me more about this Europa Clipper mission.
Okay.
It's supposed to help us find out if there's actually anything down there, right?
Exactly. The Europa Clipper is set to launch in 2030.
2030, that's not too far off.
And it's going to be our eyes and ears on Europa.
You write that?
It'll orbit Jupiter, but do multiple close flybys of Europa,
Okay.
mapping its surface in high resolution,
Wow.
analyzing its thin atmosphere,
It has an atmosphere too.
a very thin one,
Wow.
and even using ice-penetrating radar to probe the structure of that hidden ocean.
Ice-penetrating radar.
Yeah.
Sounds like something straight out of Star Trek.
It was pretty sci-fi.
Yeah.
And the data it collects could be revolutionary.
Like what?
We might learn about the ocean's depth, its salinity,
Right.
Maybe even detect hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor.
What are those?
They're like underwater geysers that spew out hot, mineral-rich water,
Oh.
which could be energy sources for life.
Think of the possibilities.
I know, right?
This is like waiting for the biggest blockbuster movie ever.
I'm excited to see what we find.
Me too, but what about the other Galilean moons?
Oh, yeah.
Any chance of finding life on those?
Well, Io's kind of out of the running.
Yeah, too many volcanoes.
Well, with all the volcanic activity going on. But Ganymede, the giant of the group,
Yeah.
also shows evidence of a subsurface ocean,
Really?
though much deeper down than Europa's.
Another ocean moon.
It seems so.
Jupiter's moons are full of surprises.
They are.
So Ganymede has an ocean too, huh?
Now, while Ganymede's ocean is probably less accessible than Europa's,
Okay.
it's still a place that could potentially harbor life.
Interesting. And then there's Callisto, the cratered grandpa moon.
That's right.
What's Callisto's story?
Well,
Any hidden oceans or volcanic fireworks?
Callisto seems to be the quiet one. Its heavily cratered surface suggests it's been geologically inactive for a long time.
Oh, okay.
It might have a deep ocean too,
Really?
but it would be even further down than Ganymede's.
I see.
As for volcanoes,
Yeah.
Callisto missed out on that party.
Okay, so maybe not as exciting as Europa,
Probably not.
but still a fascinating piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. Each of these moons is unique
Yeah.
and tells us a different story about the formation and evolution of planetary systems.
That's cool.
Maybe they're like a mini solar system, all their own,
I love that.
orbiting Jupiter.
So we've got a fiery volcanic moon,
Right.
a potential alien ocean world,
Yeah.
a supersized moon with its own hidden sea,
Uh-huh.
and a cratered relic from the early solar system.
That's our Galilean moons.
And that's just the Galilean moons.
Exactly. Remember, Jupiter has dozens more moons,
Wow.
each with its own story.
This has been an incredible journey.
It has,
Jupiter is more than just a bright light in the sky.
for sure.
It's a whole system full of wonders and mysteries.
Absolutely.
What's the biggest takeaway for our listeners? The thing they should keep in mind the next time they look up at that bright point of light.
I think the key takeaway is that there's so much more to our solar system than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Jupiter, with its swirling storms, hidden oceans, and diverse moons, is a testament to that.
I agree.
It's a reminder to stay curious, keep exploring,
Ah,
and never underestimate the power of wonder and discovery.
well said.
Thank you.
And who knows?
What's that?
Maybe one of our listeners will be the one to make the next big discovery about Jupiter or its moons.
Anything is possible.
That's right.
All it takes is curiosity,
Yes.
a thirst for knowledge, and maybe a good telescope.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Jupiter's realm.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been an incredible journey.
It really has.
Keep looking up, everyone.
Yes.
And never stop exploring the universe around us.
Couldn't have said it better myself.